So, warm welcome to all our listeners to session 3 of our podcast series with Dr. Vinod Sommandas. We have had Vinodji with us for the last 2 sessions, and if you haven't seen those sessions or heard to them, we have recorded the first one, which was all around stress, the physiology of stress. The second was all about meditation and breath. And the third one now that we're going to record now, and we're talking about today, is all about yoga. And in specific, we will go into the pranayama sort of pillar of yoga. So we will take you viewers on this journey about how yoga, the power of breath and our energy sort of mingle together within our body to make our best selves, and how we can heal our bodies as we get out of the traumas that we're going through. You can hear a police siren here from my end. Was that very loud, or it was okay?
I didn't hear anything.
Brilliant. Okay, so it's just more for me. But thank you so much, Vinodji, for joining us today. Very happy to have you on the show, and can't wait to listen to the information that you have to share with me and the audience today.
Thanks for the great introduction, Avanti. I'm happy to share this information from my background as scientist and a yoga teacher in the Himalayan yoga meditation tradition. So I would like to start first with what is Raja Yoga. So Raja Yoga is the eightfold path of yoga. There are 8 steps, the 8 limbs of yoga. So the first 2, these are the yamas and the niyamas. Yamas are the moral codes and the niyamas are the personal disciplines. And there's more practices like Brahma Viharas. I won't go into that, but these 2 practices, so the 2 limbs, they are there to purify emotions and thoughts, because when you want to go into meditation, it's important that you have a clear mind, that is not a lot of disturbances or like stress. So that's why we want to get rid of all the luggage which we have obtained during our life, that we get rid of all these things. And that's why we have the yamas and niyamas. One of the most important, I won't go into that, but the first, the most important, which is correlated with all the other parts of the yamas and niyamas, is ahimsa. So you want to be non-violent in thoughts, words, and actions. So these are things which you can do for a practice for a week. Everything I think, do, and act on, that it will be like non-violent. So this is one of that will purify also your thoughts, because the non-violent things will be like diminished or subtler. So in this way you can better progress into these different steps of yoga. So this is just what I want to say. So these are the 2 first steps. These are important for purification of emotions and thought. Then there's the 3rd step, the 3rd limb, that is the asanas.
Right.
Because when you want to, everything what we do is preparation for that meditation. So asanas, you want to have a healthy body, to sit for a longer time, to achieve meditation that will occur to you. So when you have pain or disturbances, then you will go out of meditation. So it's important that your body is fit. So that's why we do the asanas, so that the energy, life energy is good inside the whole body.
Right.
So that's the 3rd step. The 4th step that we will cover today more in detail, that is pranayama. I will go more into what pranayama means, but they're known as breathing exercises, but they're much more than that. But that I will cover in this whole session today, so I won't go into that now. Then the first 4 steps are the external. So this external, and then now we go inside. Then the first one, this is the 5th limb, it's called pratyahara. This can be translated like withdrawal of senses. So that's why you close the eyes, so that you're not directed externally, but that you go inward, and that you can feel the sensations and feel the energy inside you. Actually, then you go beyond the physical body, and then you work with the subtle body and the causal body. And then the 6th limb, That is dharana. This is concentration. Our mind is quite scattered, like 100 radios are on. So we're thinking all kinds of things. They call it also the monkey mind. But
Yeah.
with concentration, we learn to focus, for instance, on the breath, or we focus on a point, like the point between the eyebrows. So first we learn that monkey mind to focus on one thing. And when we have mastered that, more or less, then we let go of any focus, and then meditation will occur. Meditation you don't do, that will happen to you. And then
That's
when you are doing meditation for a long time, then you will reach that higher state of consciousness, which is called samadhi. Then, like the individual soul is connected to that cosmic soul.
okay. Wow, there are so many questions I have, but this is such a beautiful way to explain it, Vinodji, because what I really enjoyed listening is that yoga is not only about doing externally the poses and, or the chanting, but I think it's also more holistic in that it also combines the intrinsic um, sense retrievals and controlling our minds itself, which is going to combine together with the body and create our best selves. Thank you so much.
Thank
Um,
you.
when we say, when I want to understand how the mind and body connect, right? One way is the breath, of course, but tell us a little bit more about physiologically, how does it work for us?
Yeah, first I would like to make a word of caution. Like a lot of people, they talk about, yeah, I want to learn like pranayama, or can you give me some practices? And a lot of people learn from YouTube, but the problem with YouTube is that there's no teacher who can correct you. So I think it's important that you find, you can connect with me, but any teacher which is certified, that you really find someone who can really guide you, because when you learn it in the wrong way, there's no one who can help you to solve this problem. So it's important that you really find a qualified person that will help you. So that's just something I would like to add. I think this is important.
And a very important factor. I agree completely.
Exactly, because you're messing with your health. It's not like a game, so it will really affect your health. So so be careful with this. But let's go into the mind-body problem. So problem is maybe the wrong word, but and there's a that it's nice to see that in the West and the East there's quite a different a scope or perspective towards this phenomenon. Like if you look in the Western part, they mostly are approaching a lot of things. Also, research is more like materialistic, and so they look at the body or the human more like from the physical part, but of course it's going much deeper, because like if you look at Eastern philosophy, they see that first there is the energy, and then the body comes. But when you look at the Western, they think first there is the body, and then the mind and the energy comes. So this is quite opposed positions. So I think that's why you see that in the yoga philosophy, the approach is quite different from what you see like in the Western medical science or other Western practices.
Practices. Oh, that is very interesting. Yes. And so when we talk about the higher consciousness, or let's go into the breath. When we say we can have the breath control our minds, tell us a little bit more. I mean, um, yeah, could you elaborate that a little bit more?
Yes, yeah. In one of the schemes made by Swami Rama from Himalayan yoga meditation tradition, he puts like there's like two arrows, and you can see on the one side there is the body, and the other side is the mind. So so the breath is really like a bridge between these two. With the when you modulate the breath, you can change the body, um, so you feel more comfortable, less stressed. The tension in the body will be less when you do these pranayama practices. But also the mind will change, because this is a nice tool. That's why I like the breath a lot, because when you calm down the breath, also the mind will calm down, because it's impossible that to be angry and breathe calmly. This you can just, if you don't believe it, just practice it at home. try to be, if you're angry and you breathe calmly, directly, that anger will diminish. So that's, a lot of people say count to 10. This is something, this is aligned to this, that when you start to focus on the breath, and directly the mind will be modulated. So it's in between, and it's like and that's where the prana comes. The prana is the bridge, is that energy which is modulating these two parts of the body, the mind and the body. And prana, so the breath is the vehicle for prana.
And I know when we spoke about this last time, you also mentioned how it's such an important factor to sort of bring attention to the breath, because then it calms your system down. So I hear you. And for people who haven't seen that second episode, please go ahead and do that. Thank you, Vinod. When you say thereafter, then when you say higher consciousness, um, what does that mean? I mean, how does helping us control our breath then bring us into a state of higher consciousness? How are the two related? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So that higher consciousness is a part that is not our like the mind we are using on a daily basis. So this is a part which we reach when we are really going to meditation. So for the most people, it's not something yeah, we can directly find or observe. But so when you want to find that higher consciousness, you need to do meditation. And that in that process, then you will go beyond the mind, and that you can call higher consciousness.
And so is that also the aim of yoga? Is that also, I mean, when we talk about the higher consciousness, what does that state look like? What does higher consciousness mean in the language of yoga, for example?
Yeah, higher consciousness, then you have then you have a broader thinking capacity. You can see things which are normally not visible. From I haven't experienced it. I have glimpses of it, so it's difficult to elaborate from my own personal experience. But what I read from yoga literature, it is you're connected to that higher source, so you can really see more things like beyond what we can see in the physical world. But it's difficult to explain, and something, yeah, it's difficult to answer, but it's good to know it. There's also books about it, also from the Himalayan tradition. That's called What is Super Consciousness. So people, when they want to know it, they can go into that books. But today I won't elaborate too much on it. But via meditation, you can reach this state that you're beyond your own limited mental capacity.
Right. And to be honest, I mean, I have heard quite a few people who have had glimpses of the higher consciousness, and they don't prefer talking about it because they say that it's an experience that is meant to be felt and understood,
Exactly.
and not to be shared, because it's very difficult to create the same experience again through
I,
words,
I
through
think so.
language.
It's difficult to explain this. Like I have lots of experiences, also feeling energies and also feeling higher states. But you to explain that in words, that feeling is quite difficult. But you can feel that you're like united with something bigger, and like you're like a drop in the ocean. They say this is one of the analogies that maybe fits, but that's the only thing. The words are failing to describe this experience actually, so that's why it's difficult, but it's
And
good to know it. But
yes, and they say that these are something called siddhis. When you say, some glimpses of, extrasensory perceptions, these are siddhis which come to you when you're on the marg. I was wanting to use a Hindi word here, on the path of yoga.
yeah,
And so they say that you should be in a state of detachment, not take pride in these siddhis that come to you, because
that's
if you
true.
get stuck in those siddhis and talk about them too much, then you become attached and then you lose your direction going to.
Exactly, yeah, yeah, because a lot you have, there's lots of stories also for instance, in the book of Yogananda, that people have these like special powers, siddhis, but then they are really attached to that, and that will also be like a hampering for that part of spirituality. So it's good, but it's good. It's a nice tool sometimes,
Right.
but you shouldn't go too much into that because it's like a blockage on the path to going to the higher stage. So it's nice you elaborate on this. I think
Yes.
this is important.
Yes, but this is also new things that our audiences will hear. So I'm sure they can do more research when
Yeah,
they
sure.
listen to
Yeah,
these.
yeah,
But thank you. Because I think what are we trying to gain from yoga? We want to understand more about the prana. Like everyone says that research has done so much progress and science has done so much progress, but they've not been able to track down the prana to the full extent yet. And there have been promising studies done, but it is not. We're not at a state where we can prove that there is life energy running in our body, right? So, can you talk to us a little bit, Vinodji, about what is prana and you know, create that picture for us in terms of how that relates to the practice of yoga?
yeah. Yeah, when you look at prana, yeah, there's it's a subtle energy, so it cannot be measured. Um, and when you look at prana, the word consists of pra and na.
Vinodji, we missed the first few seconds of your
Yeah, I
speech
saw you
because
were stuck. Yeah, yeah.
yes. So, if you don't mind, would you please start over for
I
us,
will
just
start
to
off. Yeah. So
I
just to
appreciate it.
elaborate on the research, there's not a lot of research in the West on the breath and
Right.
also on the pranayama. The thing is pranayama, the prana energy is so subtle that the machines we have cannot measure it. It's such a subtle energy.
Mm.
So I'll go into the prana. So
Yeah.
prana consists of two parts. The first syllable is pra, that it means first unit, and na is energy. So it's the first unit of energy. And then I will just go into going much deeper in the yoga scriptures. It's written that with the creation of the universe, there was first akasha. So this is the empty space there was, and through prana, the universe started to manifest itself. So prana is really essential in this whole process. And also all what we see as in the world of sense perception, this is all an expression of this vital energy. So this is quite nice. And also when you look at the mind, it is prana which feeds and sustains the mind. Without prana, there wouldn't be any thoughts. So, and via the prana, so the prana is connected to the mind, and the mind is connected to the will, and that will is then connected to our individual soul, Atman. And that thus via this we are connected to that ultimate reality, the cosmic consciousness, Brahman. So
Yeah.
prana is really connecting via the mind, the will, individual soul to that highest consciousness, the cosmic consciousness. So you can see that prana is really essential. When you control prana, then you will really reach higher states of consciousness. So this is quite important. That's why pranayama is that important in the whole yoga philosophy and yoga practice. And
And
all
that
the
is,
and just
yes,
to
sorry.
add, sorry, all sensations, also thinking and feeling and knowing, these are only possible because of prana. So everything what we do or experience in a whole day, this is all connected to this pranic energy. We are not really conscious of this on a daily basis, but
Mm.
prana is really fundamental in the whole life of a human being.
This is so fascinating because when you say that prana prana is required to run the mind, or the prana
Yeah.
connects to the mind, it brings me back to this talk I heard with the Vedanta Society of New York. Now, the speaker there, he spoke about how consciousness or prana in our bodies, as it's called, is like electricity. And then electricity takes form of a tube light or of a light bulb
Yeah.
based on the form that it chooses, that it's brought into. And I think consciousness is very similarly brought into our bodies, which then give life to the mind, to our protective urges, to our senses, and to the autonomic nervous system, so to say. Is that a fair? Am I
Yeah, I
saying?
think that is correct, because prana is really also connected to that autonomous nervous system. I will go into that later. But so when you modulate so via pranayama, we can modulate autonomous nervous system. This will also have an effect on what I talk about the stress response. So it's quite important in our health that this prana is really controlling the lungs, but also the mind. So this is really a nice connection. And but I want to elaborate that, so prana, what you said, is also it sustains life, and it enters the body via two ways. So via the food, this is like a grosser form of prana, and via the breath, this is more a subtle form. So both, so you can see that food, of course, we know food is essential. Without food, we will die. But also with the prana, when that is suboptimal, then also we will have problems in our health. So these are important things to take care of. And it regulates also the lungs, and is the most vital process in cleansing the human system.
Indeed. Oh,
And
wow.
when regulating the lungs, also certain breathing exercises make our pores function properly, and this will make our tissues and cells become also healthy. So like the the breathing should be good, and also the function of our lungs, and then also the pore function is important, because there are also like a lot of waste products are expelled via the pore. So you can see that pranayama is really important in sustaining good health.
Yes, indeed. And that is actually quite really my next question. I mean, tell us a little bit more about pranayama and breathing exercises that you mentioned. It's the
Yes.
fourth limb. Tell us a bit more. I mean, what does it mean, the practice of pranayama?
So pranayama, I just want to go into what pranayama means. So pranayama has two meanings. Prana and yama means control of the prana, and prana ayam, that means like expansion or rising of prana. So it's control of prana, but also expansion of that vital energy. And when I think about pranayama, the first important pranayama practices we do in the Himalayan yoga meditation tradition is diaphragmatic breathing, because this is the most efficient form of breathing. You can see it in babies. They are not able to do chest breathing, but you can see that the belly is all the time going up and down. And that will also allow that the deeper parts of the lungs are oxygenated. So it's one of the most important things. And also it's a prerequisite for meditation. When you do chest breathing, then meditation will not occur. So there are different practices that you can do that to make you more conscious about diaphragmatic breathing. So you can do like, you can stand in the fresh open air, and then that your body is relaxed, and then you hold like the it's called the mula bandha, and then you breathe deeply. And this is a practice you can do. If you could do that a few minutes a day, then it will have an important effect. So this is one of the practices which are done. And also what you can do is breathing and relaxation. So that is like the body scan, but then also focusing on the breath. And this is also one of the practices you can do. And of course, then you have like the Brahmari, like the B sound practice, or what we will do later, Ujjayi, the victorious breath. This is also very good, because this will calm down the nerves also.
Oh, fantastic. So there's multiple ways to use our breath and sort of
Exactly.
expand those energies to
Exactly.
go to reach that higher consciousness that we're saying. Because in your explanation, what I understood was that if we're only breathing up until our chest, we are still in a smaller form of this limbic format of thinking. But when
Exactly.
we bring our breathing down to a deeper level, we unlock other, more potentially explorative sides of our consciousness,
This is true. Yeah,
which will then bring us to a different level of
exactly.
understanding of the
Exactly.
reality that we're in.
And also relaxation, because when you're chest breathing, you're quite tensed. And that is also because of the biology. You want to run away. There's the stress, fight, flight response. But when you do diaphragmatic breathing, then you are really relaxing the whole body. Because one of the prerequisites also for meditation is that you have total neuromuscular relaxation. And that can only be achieved when you are doing diaphragmatic breathing. And that's why you lie down in this corpse posture, shavasana. And then,
Yes.
so because when your nerves and muscles are not relaxed, then meditation will not occur. So this is something important. So the first thing what I want to emphasize is that diaphragmatic breathing is the first most important exercise. And yeah, when you have that simple deep breathing with diaphragmatic movement, that is the foundation of the science of breath. So this is really fundamental. And when you have mastered this, then you can continue with the other practices which are more advanced. And when you have control over the lungs,
Yeah.
the motion of the lungs, it will also have an effect, for instance, on the heart, but also on the gastrointestinal system.
It's on the autonomic nervous system, that is, all the automatic systems that work with
Exactly.
even when you're asleep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you can also gain control of the pores, which I tell. And these are the most important cleansing system in the whole body. So this is really important that you really, when you master the diaphragmatic breathing, you will change, also feel more relaxed. Anxiety and these kind of things will diminish, and chance of depression will also get less. So I think this is something, yeah, for most people, because a lot of people are facing low level stress on a daily basis, and unconsciously they're breathing via the chest. Before I started yoga, it was also quickly, oh, you're going to the chest. Then you
Mm.
feel these effects for quite some time also. But when you do only this practice of deep breathing, it already changes your life in a positive, dramatic way already.
Yes, and I think we are in such a hurry usually that we want to get three things done in the
Exactly.
first 2 hours of the day.
Yeah, yeah,
So we tend to use chest breathing mechanism because then we get things done faster. But
exactly.
it is at a cost to our body.
Exactly. And also thinking capacity is also decreased when you have this, because that is biology. You don't want to have 10 choices, only one or two. So,
We
uh,
have enough coffee choices, Vinodji. So then we don't want more choices in life. So
it makes simple. But let me go into what the practice of pranayama changes in your life. So the nice thing, it can change completely the character. There was a nice story from one of our yoga teachers. He said that a woman in India started doing nadi shodhana. Then her character changed that much. Then the family said, stop doing this, because it was doing quite intensively. So it can really, because it's changing your mind in such a way that you will become a different person. So
wow. So
this is
they asked her to stop doing it. That is very
exactly.
important.
So this is just an example from practice, not my own, but from life. And it can also change the course of life, because you can directly, when we know it is affecting our health status, so you will have extended life, and also you will be more joyful and a pleasant person on a daily basis. So the interaction with people will be different, and also the choices you make on a daily basis are also changed. So it has so much effect on you on a deeper level. I experienced already before I started yoga, I started 2009 with yoga, and if I see myself now,
Huh? Are
especially
you?
when I started the training, you can see like such a difference in how you are facing situations, how you are reacting towards same situation, but you know are completely different. So this is really interesting. And also, what I would like to add is a number of diseases which are thought to be incurable through the practice of pranayama. It can be helped because it links the physical and the mental life, this prana. So it can really affect things which are thought to be by the Western science not to be curable. It can change. There are many stories that people, they had cancer and they started doing this pranayama, then it's of course not in all cases, but it is possible that due to pranayama you can change things, because you have like what is the self-healing capacity of the body, and with pranayama you reinforce that self-healing capacity, you strengthen that, so that things can really cure faster than normal people think, which can occur.
Wow, that is fascinating. I mean, I wanted to, before I go on to the next question, is there any examples of your personal life that you'd like to share in terms of this change or personality change? Just wanted to create space for that question.
Yeah, yeah, and I will feel, yeah, I will tell about some personal experience. I Before, like when there was a situation, then I felt stress at that time, but also like a whole week maybe afterwards. So, and now it's hardly affecting me. I just see it, I observe it, and then yeah, then it doesn't really affect me. So I'm not really stressed. And when there's like a slight form of stress, then I can just do some practice and then it's really disappearing. But when you do like on a regular basis yoga and pranayama, then the effect will be lasting longer and longer, and some things will be like internalized and that will be part of your new personality. So you can see that like stressful situations before, now I'm really like quite calm to the same situation, and you stay more in that like um, broad consciousness and broad thinking pattern, instead of that narrow thinking pattern which occurs when you're stressed. So I think that is
The
really
fun of
exemplifying.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
And
would like to add to this part that something that I read in one of our books is that one of the ancient sages said that one who knows the science of breath knows everything, and he who knows prana knows the Vedas. So these are the holy scriptures. For this very reason, breath is Brahman, that is that cosmic consciousness. Whatever moves or works or has life is but an expression or manifestation of prana. So I find that quite beautiful. So when you know that breath, then you will, when you really know it at the deepest level, then you will know that highest consciousness. So this is really to exemplify what is pranayama.
that is beautiful. And my first reflection is just to say that I think we take the breath for granted so much. In the practice of mindfulness, I teach people to stay with that breath, and it is the very same that um, we can just observe our emotions and let them pass through us. And that is enough. Like, we don't have to take any actions on them. And this is also what you're suggesting now, that you observe what shows up for you, your self acceptance increases. Through your personal experience, you said how you see the situation differently now. Even if you're stressed, you're a different person. And I think by increasing that self knowledge, then we become more and more adept at managing
Yeah,
more diverse situations in our life. So this is something really precious. Thank you so much for sharing that.
you're welcome. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Um, Fair enough. I mean, for my next question, I want to ask you the aim of pranayama, and I know we've probably
I
spoken
think
about
you're
it.
skipping a question because we didn't go into the vital sheet.
Yes, indeed, not yet. I know we said that we'll pick that up. Let's pick that question up. Absolutely. So,
So maybe you first go into the vital sheet before you go, because that is quite fundamental in the whole story of understanding the deeper levels of what is prana. Because if you look at the Holy Scriptures, the Upanishads, they say the pranic level is the second body. This is the vital sheet. So we have the physical body, and then we have the vital sheet, that is that energy body. And we also talked about pranayama. So this is taking the shape of the physical body, and it's body of energy.
yeah,
It has complex anatomy, and we talked about nadis. So the nadis are the subtle energy channels. So these are part of this network of the pranic sheet, or the vital sheet. And through these nadis the energy flows, and for instance with the nadi shodhanam you're purifying these nadis, so it's called it's channel purification.
right.
So this is one of the also one of the very important pranayama practices to do. it balances the left and the right hemisphere, but also purifies these nadis. And where nadis cross, these are the points which we call chakras.
Right. Okay.
So,
They're the collection of nadi points.
exactly.
Understand.
There are many of them. There's different numbers. I won't go into that. But what you referred to before also is that the pranayama, science of pranayama, science of breath, is intimately connected with autonomous nervous system. So the autonomous nervous system consists partly of you have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. So via this breath, we can modulate these systems. And one of the aims of pranayama is to bring like the involuntary part of our body into the conscious control. Like you say, you talked also just before this question. So you can modulate things which are because the breath is going on. If you don't think about it, it's an unconscious process. But by doing pranayama, we can bring it under conscious control, and then it can have a lot of positive effects. Because yeah, the nice thing it also when you do pranayama practices, you can modulate the heart rate, it will slow down, and also the nervus vagus, the vagus nerve, can be also modulated, and that I spoke about extensively in the stress podcast. So
Yes.
then you can really calm down yourself. So and when you do this pranayama practices, so it come under voluntary control. So this is quite beautiful.
And oh, now I missed my question. But when I say no, let's skip this question because I now have a blank screen.
No,
But
no problem. But maybe I can elaborate because when you have gained control over the mind, then you can experience this subtler and higher levels of the mind.
right,
And what the yogis which are highly developed, they can control even the central nervous system and then prevent diseases like muscular dystrophy and Parkinson's disease. So you can see, but if you are really at high level, then you can really prevent diseases. So this is some area for the Western science to still explore when you can reach that higher state. That you what can be changed and what can be prevented. This is quite nice.
so then my question is, when you said earlier that you cannot be angry and have a calm breath, right?
Yes,
So if we have to backtrack this information you've just shared with us, Vinodji, it means that when I'm angry, if I choose to do diaphragmatic breathing, it will remove my anger. Is
yes,
that right?
that is true. Yeah, you can do that, or you can do Ujjayi breath, for instance, or
Okay.
Brahmari. That will directly have an effect on that anger. Or what you can do when you feel that anger coming up in the beginning, because you feel, oh, there's a thought coming, then you can directly start doing that breath so that you can prevent that it's building up to that high anger.
Right. And so that is a fascinating tool because I mean there are so many situations in our fast-paced lives where we are constantly brought to the edge of our boundaries, right? Of what we like and dislike. So to be able to have a tool which will sort of help us bring it back under control and sort of manage that anger and see the anger as objective um, expression of violating our boundaries. I think that is beautiful. Is now a good time to do a demonstration of the Ujjayi breath or
Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit because um, now I forgot it also myself. But so I think it's important that let me just think about. Yeah, we can go into that. I wanted to just quickly talk about what the correlation is between prana and disease. But I
yes,
already talked about that a little bit. But when there's an imbalance in the flow of prana, uh, then there will diseases can occur because uh, both body and mind are sustained by prana. When there's like an imbalance in that prana flow, when there's undernourishment, because the prana flow is not good, then diseases can occur. So I think this is something important to just stress that prana is really important in the sustaining our cells and tissues in the body. So when there's somewhere you can feel, when you're going deeper into yoga, you can feel, oh, in this spot when you're just scanning the body, oh, I don't feel that prana flow. That could be that there's a blockage in a certain part, and then you can direct or visualize that there's more prana flow going there, or doing practices of pranayama. So that can help prevent diseases. I think this is something I would like to add. I think this is something important.
And I think we should do probably a demonstration for that. I mean, or I think through the Ujjayi breath, we get an idea of how that can be done. That is a
Yes.
big.
I was just thinking, because we didn't really go into the aims of pranayama,
Yes, I mean, we started speaking about it where you said
but we
that.
didn't go into, I just there was something deeper. Should I
Yeah,
cover that? And then
yes,
maybe,
absolutely. And the aim of yoga. I know you mentioned that you also wanted to speak about that after
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Uh,
let me add that, and then we can do that practice of that pranayama, Ujjayi pranayama. I think that's very beautiful practice. Yes.
Awesome.
So when you look at the aim of pranayama, the first aim is to gain control of the nervous system. And when you get gradual control over the nervous system, then you will also get control of the mind. And that will, and also an aim of pranayama, that you remain unaffected by disturbing thoughts. So the
Yes.
body and the mind will be in a good condition and perfect health, and that will also help you in daily life, but also to perform meditation or go into meditation. And when you look at the aim of yoga, which is correlated to pranayama, is to arouse the sleeping kundalini energy, and that's all the latent potential of a human. And this will lead to the upward stream of the energy to this energy channel, the central channel, the sushumna channel, and it will rise up to that sahasrara chakra, that is the crown chakra, the 1,000 petaled lotus. And this represents the union of the cosmic potency, Shakti, with the cosmic consciousness, Shiva. And when this union, this final union is achieved, we will achieve self-realization and liberation from all bondage. And then this will lead to the merging of the individual soul, Atman, with the Brahman. So these pranayama practices are a means to awaken this kundalini. So this is very important to understand in the pranayama practice, that finally when you master this pranayama in a deeper level, that will lead to that self-realization and liberation of all bondages. So this is quite nice. So let's go into the practice of Ujjayi breath. Let me just briefly explain a bit about it.
But also when you say the cosmic consciousness, and the rising of the kundalini, and then going and merging um, with the, how did you, a million suns, right?
Sorry?
How would you describe the enlightenment? It's the million suns in the Sahasrara.
No, they they call it 1,000 petaled lotus.
Thousand petal
Because
lotus.
there are pictures, then you see that there are so many leaves, so it has a lot of petals. So it's called 1,000 petaled lotus. That is
Yeah.
the Sahasra.
And when you say that you become one with the cosmic consciousness, I know we're probably going into untrodden questions here, but I
Exactly.
mean, it's I think as an audience, as someone who's listening, I just want to say again that everyone's experiences could be very different, and then we don't spend too much time talking about it because they are not meant to be spoken with language, but felt as experiences.
Exactly.
And because it's a natural question, it will arise for anyone who's
Yeah,
listening
exactly. But you cannot
to
explain it
acknowledge.
until
Yeah.
you have to realize. And this is not something which is happening on a daily basis. This is after long practices. This will occur. So you won't. If you are talented and maybe gifted, then it can happen quickly. But normally this takes maybe multiple lifetimes. So, or maybe in this lifetime, if you're blessed, that can happen. But I cannot say from personal experiences, but you should talk with real life masters, then they can tell you a bit And when you are really far, then also when you have like a guru or a master, they can bring you into that state actually of that highest state. That is described by, for instance, Yogananda in his book, that his master brought him in the state. But then people want to stay in that state. But
They also say Vivekananda came into that.
also, yeah, all these masters came into the state, but you have to
Yeah,
come back and then still help the world to prosper. But yeah, it must be quite magical because you can see so much. You are connected with all the whole universe. So but that's why you need preparation, because they
and
say it's like you're wired with a million faults inside your nervous system. So you need to prepare this spinal column and the Sushumna channel
yeah.
to harness this big energy. So when you're mentally not stable or not prepared, then this it will not happen, or it will make you crazy. So it's
And
not
I,
something you should
yes.
do.
And I think it's also years and years of practice on the Eightfold Path, on the spirit that, we have pure thoughts, we have pure action, we have
Exactly.
pure intention,
Yeah.
yet we have a detachment to the final outcome. So it's a combination. And I think while I think everyone is on this journey, everyone wants to have a better life, more fulfilled life. So practice of yoga begins as wanting to feel better about ourselves, but then it goes into this uh, journey of how we can become better and more purified
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that path.
Yeah.
But great, I think that was really helpful to hear it from that perspective,
Yes,
Vinod.
yeah, yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Going deeper because people think yoga, yeah, it will make me more relaxed, but
Yeah.
these are all like positive side effects, I would call it, and that you feel more relaxed and calm, etc. This is not the goal of yoga. Yoga means also it comes from Sanskrit yug,
Mm.
unification. That is that unification of that uh, personal yeah, like Atma, the personal soul, the individual soul with that cosmic soul. That is the ultimate aim, and then you will reach that liberation, that self-realization.
Right. But I mean, before we go into the Ujjayi, I want to ask you. I mean, from personal practice, how much time should we spend doing practice of yoga? I mean, it could be breath, it could be postures. What is normally the amount of time you put in a day, Vinodji?
Like when you do the yoga properly, but that is like the integral whole series, then it's like 1.5 hour approximately. Then you take your time. You can do it also 2 hours. It's possible, but most people don't have time. You can also make a short version. Then you do like we have a series called you can do like we start in the Makarasana, then we do the diaphragmatic breathing. Then you can do like the series which I'll call joints and glands, and
Okay.
then you can do asanas, but that will take some time if you do all the asanas. But you can also do only sun salutation and then nadi shodhanam and then concentration meditation. That will take maybe 40 minutes.
Wow.
But that is
Okay.
the shortened version then but yeah, the time you want to spend, it depends on the person, because some people have family life, etc. So I cannot say, oh, you have to do this. This is all up to you.
Everyone is based on their situation.
Exactly.
But I have heard also, and I have practiced sun salutations since I was a child, but it is supposed to be a composite of all these stretches, mostly. And it is supposed to be a capsule that will give you the best benefit
Exactly.
of yoga. So that may be a good start, so to say.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's good to start. And one of our teachers said if you cannot do it on a daily basis, then you do it like every 2 or 3 days, because that effect will go down, of course.
Right.
So when you do it like 3 or 4 times a week, then it will be like at a good level. Of
Excellent.
course, on a daily basis is better. So yeah, it depends on also how is your discipline and perseverance also, and your motivation. If you want to, if you do it only once a week, then it will take a long time to reach that higher state if you want to achieve it. And so it depends on what do you want. So it's all to the person. I also tell my students, so yoga you don't do for me, you do it for yourself. It's for yourself. So the more you do it, the better, and you will feel the benefits. I feel the benefits on my personal life. So
Very interesting. No, thank you. I mean, that is very good to me, at least. I think it's a very good snapshot of what yoga is, going through the limbs of, you know, the eight limbs of yoga, and sort of that path gives it an overview. Plus, then the uh, the topic that you have chosen today to talk about, pranayama, which talks about the intermingling of the two external and internal faculties, to then bring more attention and intention to it. I think that is very effective. Thank you. No, but I can't wait to do the Ujjayi breath
let's
practice with
do it.
you. So I think now is a great time to do it.
Let's do it. Yes, I'll first go into the benefits
Okay.
because it's always nice to know why are we doing this before,
Yes.
especially in the modern world, people want to know why am I
Okay.
doing it. So yeah, so it is benefiting. It's clearing the nasal passages, which is always good. It suits the nerves, so it will calm down directly also the mind. So this is something nice you can do also before sleeping. This is nice. You can do it together with the Brahmari, which we did in the previous podcast. This you can do, for instance, Brahmari and then this Ujjayi breath. And when you just go into the theory, so when you feel that incoming air, it should be felt on the roof of the palate, on the inside. And you should make a soft, continuous sobbing sound. And can be achieved by partially closing the glottis.
Okay.
So that's a bit more complicated, probably. And this can be easily done by repeating so during in-breath. So you think mentally, so when you are breathing in,
Mhm.
and the abdomen is slightly contracted during inhalation. So then you can get this effect. And the same is when you go, when you breathe out, it's going, all the inhalation is only via the nostrils. So um, and the outgoing air should also be felt on the roof of the palate, and you can it's all audible, and then this you can mentally repeat hum, yeah?
Right. So
Like
so
so hum.
right. Okay. So when you inhale, it is so, and then when you exhale, it's hum. Right?
Exactly, yeah, and it should be felt in the on the roof of the palate, and the glottis should be closed a bit, so it's like you feel that air passing through, like it's getting narrower, and then you feel that passage, and it's also like you feel that air passing by. So let's try it together.
Okay. Let's do it.
Just sit comfortably. Shoulders are relaxed and moved backward. The arms are relaxed, hanging. You feel, become aware of the position where you're sitting, of the place where you're sitting. Feel the sitting bones that are distributed evenly. And just scan the body. Feel like you're breathing from your crown of your head to your toes, and from your toes to your head, completely relaxing the body. With each exhalation, you relax deeper and deeper. And with an inhalation, you think that you are getting vital energy, peace, and calmness. Then you bring your attention to the head. Feel the touch of the breath in the nostrils. And then we switch to Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi breath means victorious breath. So with an inhalation via the nostrils, you feel the air touching the roof of the palate. You think of so. And then you close the glottis and then you exhale. You think of hum.
So,
You can do it mentally. Into inhalation, you think of so. Exhalation, you think of hum. And it's slightly audible when you exhale. You feel that like a draft of air passing the glottis. And observe how is your body feeling. And how is the mind changing when doing this practice? After a few rounds of breathing, you go back to the normal breath. Still through the nose. And then observe what has changed in the body. How's your mind feeling at this present moment? Then you rub the hands against each other and put the palms of your hand like cups before the eyes and open your eyes towards your palms of your hands. And then you bring the hands down. Namaste.
this
So
is
can you feel some, maybe you can describe what you how you felt before and how are you feeling now after this? We only did very short
mm,
Ujjayi practice, but I can directly feel the difference. I feel much more relaxed. So it's really
I think one
beautiful.
is relaxation, and for me also the clearing of the nasal passage, like it
Yeah,
feels less cluttered,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it feels more open
yeah,
and cleaner
yeah.
passage.
Beautiful. Yeah,
So yeah, definitely. I think the intention of setting the so on the inhale, that sort of narrows the breath down somehow,
yeah,
magically, and then the exhale, um,
yeah.
hum. I think that really makes
Yeah,
them.
that's beautiful. I mean, and what maybe what I could like to, what I still like would like to add is that to keep that state of calmness through the day is when you start some new practice, or
Mhm.
when you start, for instance, okay, I had a break, I will start working. First, start with 2 minutes just focusing on the breath. So then I have a coffee break. Then I again start with work. I again have 2 minutes focus on the breath. This 2 minute breath awareness. And when you do that through the whole day, the build off of stress is not that high. So that is something simple thing. It's difficult maybe
That is such a powerful tip. Yes,
to
because
do,
then
but when you
you're setting
find
an
the beneficial
intention.
effect.
Yeah,
Sorry?
because you're setting an intention and
Exactly. Yeah.
know that you physically move between one into the next.
Exactly. Yeah. It will calm down you because I will, from that external situation, whatever that was, go back to myself. Always you go back to that core essence of yourself. So that's quite beautiful. And the other tip we discussed before we started recording is that the gel neti kriya. So this is using a neti pot, then you put water and a pinch of salt, like 0.9% sodium chloride, just a pinch of salt, and then you can rinse the nasal passages. So that will also, before you start doing pranayama or yoga, it's good to do that, and it will prevent like hay fever, house dust mite. It will prevent that viruses and bacteria will bind to that mucosal tissue in the nasal passage. So that is something also has been done more than for thousands of years, and that has been proven in practice already. So this is what I do from personal experience. I have a house dust mite allergy, and since I do it, I don't have to take that tablets, and I feel much better. And also the symptoms when you have some uh, cold or fever, the symptoms will also diminish. So you can do it multiple times on a day, and there's unlimited you can do. It doesn't have any side effects. But I would always recommend to boil the water and then let it cool down so that the bacteria are killed. So this is some extra tip I would recommend doing, also pranayama and yoga. So something nice you can do, and just buy a good neti pot and then you can do practice it. There are lots of videos on YouTube, so you can check it out.
And you
Practice.
mentioned a ceramic neti pot is better than a
It's better, prefer, yeah, because plastic, you don't know, after a while the plastic will dissolve. So I would buy ceramic. Only don't drop it on the floor, otherwise it's finished. But
we stock a few of them.
exactly,
Yes.
but I would there's a nice different types of, just see what is good, and just try. You can use sea salt or Himalaya salt. All is good. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think to all our viewers, it's we on this channel, we pay more emphasis on experiences that individuals have had personally, because what that it does is it gives it more credibility. When Vinodji mentioned this, this way of him managing his allergies, I said this is something that our audience might love to hear. And so thank you so much for keeping that in mind, Vinodji, to then share it with us. It's absolutely precious. I mean, through these three series podcasts, I think there is so much that we have now uncovered, and the dialogue is almost fascinating. So we're hoping also in the coming weeks, if there is more information that we want to share and want to discuss, that we will put that together in the form of a podcast. So I want to now bring our session to a close, but not before I let you, Vinodji, share your email once again with our viewers, because I'm sure there is so much you've spoken today about nadis and chakras and, prana, so to say, and that if they want to reach out to you, please just remind us of the information before we bring our session to a close.
Yeah, I think it's easiest just to go to my website, wellbeingphd.com. And there on the bottom part, you can find my telephone number and also my email address. So if you have questions or you want to do practices, just reach out to me. You can find me also on LinkedIn, but just go to the website and then send me an email, and then we can discuss. Or if you have questions, just let me know, and then I'm happy to help you. So.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Vinodji, for your time, for sharing that information, and for the absolute solid preparation that you do for every podcast. I know the commitment that you have in terms of bringing the right knowledge in the best way possible for our viewers to listen and understand. And I think this makes it even more easy for them to sort of try and practice all the ideas and tips that you've given them. So thank you so much for sharing, for learning with us, and we hope to have more such sessions together. Thank you so much for today.
Thank Avantiji for hosting. It was beautiful, and the interaction was beautiful. Yeah, let's continue to share this information so that people can get some knowledge and practice which they can apply in daily life and which will benefit them. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you. My pleasure.